Demo. One more time. Hello? Huh? Okay. Okay, afternoon, everyone. Okay, we'll start shortly. Okay. In the meantime, I would like to welcome many of you who come in for today's session. All right, we're going to start shortly. Okay, thank you all for joining. If you want, you can actually just on your camera so we can say hi to each other. Everybody's coming in today. Our speaker will be in together and joining us shortly. Okay, my name is Wani from Top Foresight. And for the Muslim, I would like to wish you selamat berpuasa. Okay, just do a quick check. If you are ready, can you enter one in the chat box? Right. Great. Wow. Okay, good. Great. Like, yes, only few that shares the video, but we can know from the responses in the chat box that everybody is excited. Okay, everybody is excited for this session this afternoon. So we're gonna go about 1.5 hours just to share with you interesting subjects today. For those of you who you come in for learning, we'd like to welcome you. All right. I think it's 3 p.m. already. So without further ado, I think we can get started. Okay, for some of you who joined to our to Top Foresight, we also have some of you who joined in from our partners, Mr. From SST to you, Mr. Han. Hi.
Hi, hello, hi.
You want to say hi to some of the people?
Yeah, I think have you got my this PDF?
Yes. Okay, so Anthony, are you ready? Okay. So, Mr. Han, I think if you like to say hi to some of the participants today who actually come from SSC to you and also everyone here today in general, please.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. But would you be putting up my slide?
Actually, if you want, you can share your screen. We are thinking actually just thinking just a quick welcoming remarks from you.
Oh, I see. Okay. In this case, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon through SST to you. We have about 20 plus of you that come through SST to you this afternoon, right? Just a very quick introduction. We are a certified HRDF training provider and also ISO 9001-2015 certified. So we provide a wide range of trainings, including like today, KPI. We also have finance, we have accounting, we have HR, company law, we have data analytics and more. So we hope you can join us by visiting our website at sst2u.com. All right, for more information on our courses. All right. So with this, let me pass back to this Top Foresight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Han. Okay, so I think everybody cannot wait to eager for today's learning and sharing session. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Anthony, our speaker for today, to come in and start off the session. And we hope that this session today will be a good session for every one of you. Okay. Anthony, unmute your mic.
Thank you, everybody, for the thank you, Wani, for the introductions. First of all, I'd like to say hi to every one of you, and for the Muslim fam, happy happy Ramadan and all this. What do you call? Had a great time. Okay, first of all, this is a privilege to spend time with you to talk about subject on KPI, KRA's performance. I think a few things before we start the sessions. I just want to ask a couple of questions. If you can, you just have to key in very simple questions. You just go in the chat group. Now, first of all, I want to know how many of your company, those who are out there, has actually embarked some form of KPI development exercise in your organizations. Just if yes, just key a yes for me. I want to see how many has done it. Anyone has done it? Just key a yes in your chat group. All right.
We have no planning to do so.
Okay. It looks like developing KPI is very new to many of you. Huh?
Okay. Actually,
Okay.
we don't have a yes yet.
Yeah. One is I can see that one.
Right.
So it looks like many of you are pretty new on the KPI. Okay, but the question here is, some of you, I can see Rachel, you say yes, but not sure if it's correct. I think it's fantastic for you to be here because I'm going to share with you a whole new revolution approach, or what we call a totally new approach of developing KPI. In fact, this developing KPI is a major challenge to many organizations because it's not something new. People have been doing for the last 10, 15, 20 years. The problem here basically is that 70-80% of the KPI that are developed, how to say it, is not quantitative. We can call KPI, but it's be quantitative, but majority of the time, it tends to be very qualitative. All right. So today I'm going to share with you a very simple approach, okay, that you can see that at the end of the day, it is more important to do meaningful and balanced KPI. All right. With much of, let's proceed with the sessions. Okay, I want to share with you my screenshot. All right, very quickly. Just let me organize a couple of things first. In Zoom, we have to organize a few things. Yes, let me carry you this. All right. Now, a few things I would like you to do. One thing is this: if you have any questions, okay, please feel free to key into the chat so that I can attend to your questions. I like this to be a more dialogue sessions instead of one-way traffic. You listen to me and I explain to you. And I also like to hear from you, some of you who have experience on developing KPI. Let's hear some of your experience. I will share you some of the success story that we have done for many organizations. It's not something simple. It's not something difficult, but it's just you need to have the correct way of approaching these subject matters. All right. Now, first of all, I think I'll just do a quick intro about what are we here for today. All right. Now, first of all, I think one way or the other, many of you have experience developing KPI. I will say that practically everybody can develop KPI. I don't think it's something that it's very difficult to do. All right. And there are many programs running on KPIs and KRA, OKR. There are many methodologies. Today, I'm going to show you that we can simplify many things. The problem, as I mentioned to you earlier on, is that many developed KPI are meaningless and cannot be quantified. I give you one example. We can say, let's say you have timely delivery activity. Okay, there are many issues. You can have 70, 80, 90, 100. My question is this: you cannot quantify it, and sometimes we have no idea what actually that measure it is related to what. Now, over the years, I've done a lot of work. I find something quite amazing. Having a poor quality KF is even worse than having no KPI because it can mislead the individual and get people to focus on things that are actually more problematic than actually helping this individual to solve the problem. Okay, that's one of the reasons why many people say KPI does not work for them. Actually, what need to be measured, what measure, you get done. All right, I think this is something very important thing. So if you face difficulty, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It's just probably the approach how you want to do it is not done in the correct sequential areas. So that's what I'm saying is that the main issue is that I think it's not just about, I think sometimes we also ask questions, what are your KPI? Actually, that's not the correct question to ask because you want to develop KPI, you have to follow a systematic approach. It's not say, I want to know my KPI. Now, take for example, I'm also a certified strategic management and balanced scorecard practitioner. Everybody develops scorecard. Now, they always think the scorecard is a four perspective. The four perspective is an output, but what helped to develop the four perspective is very important. So sequential approach and the correct way of doing it is very important. It's not a question of jigsaw puzzle, what comes first and so forth. So I think this is something that all of us must be very clear because if not, we'll end up with a lot of difficulties. Now, in these sessions, this particular 1.5 sessions, okay, you're going to learn, okay, the key focus areas approach. Now, this is not something new, okay? And why? After many years of research, we find that it is the most effective sequential approach, okay? Why? Because first of all, development KPI, you can have 1, 2 KPI. It doesn't mean anything. Meaningful, balanced KPI are very important. Why you want to do performance? Simply because after I'm going to share with you that the whole ideas, because actually, even for example, many of the organizations you develop, for example, revenues, group revenue, sales volume, these are also a form of KPI. It's not that you have not done it. Company has done it over the last maybe 20, 30 years. But what is important is that one single measure cannot drive the performance of an individual or an organization. So it must be a group of KPI. That's a very important thing. How do you develop a group of KPI? And ultimately, what we want to do is to achieve some form of clarity. What to be expected to perform? How are we going to drive the performance at ourselves? And how can we contribute to the organizations? Even for example, the last 2 weeks, I've been very, very busy because I'm working with a Japanese company. And what we do is, what they've done is they go through the second rounds to fine tune the KPIs and they begin to understand the importance of balance. All right. So at the same time, I also want to share with you a very important relationship, what we call interrelationship between KFA and KRA. So today we're going to know what are key result areas, what are key focus areas. And more importantly, I always say this, objective statements are far more important than the KPI. If we do not know what is the purpose, then all the KPI are just floating. And if I were to impose a KPI on my staff, and my staff don't even know why we have to do the KPI, then I think the whole exercise is meaningless. So developing objective statement is one of the most powerful tools and methods. But the question is, how do we develop objective statement? All right. And of course, ultimately is we have to learn one thing in the office, learn to ask the right questions. All right. So if everybody are ready, all right. Okay, Muhammad Faisal asked the question, what is balanced scorecard? Okay, balanced scorecard and versus standard KPI, what is the difference? Now, basically a balanced scorecard is a methodology. Actually, it is a method in which how organizations look at performance from a helicopter view. It means it is very strategic. You organize and look at the interrelationship. Fundamentally, it also uses one very important component, is using key performance indicator to drive the directions of the company. So just to let you know, Engineer Muhammad Faisal is basically, KPI is just one of the components that you need to do to drive balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard is just a methodology. KPI is also a methodology, but simply is for the purpose of eventually how do you operationalize a lot of things, okay? So anyway, if I can answer the question, I hope Muhammad, Faisal, I hope that help you to have a clear understanding between what is a balanced scorecard and what is a standardized KPI. All right. Now let's quickly do the first part. Now, first, we're not going to cover everything here, but I want to share with you a couple of things first. Number one, why our organization spends so much time? You know, doing KPI is not small job, you know, it's actually take out additional work for the company, it take out addition for the individual. And many people, okay, we talk different KPI, they say, oh gosh, it's a lot of work. Now, first of all, we must understand why we need to do it. Why, for example, it becomes very powerful in the 2-3 years time. All right. For example, you want to manage your tomorrow outcome. You don't need a KPI to do that. You can actually do a lot of other things to do that. All right. So now let's going to share with you a few things here. Now, of course, you see here, this is a typical program that I run. I'll just only cover a few elements here. So let's look at fundamental performance measurement or management. Now, first of all, I want you to understand one thing is this. The whole idea today about organizations, about individuals is this. We have two very contradicting forces, I would say one. We have two very contradicting forces. We need to make sure that we do more with less. We call that productivity. At the same time, we need to grow the business. All of us are always, when we go to work, we always have challenging situation because we need to manage what the boss expects you to do, get an outcome of today. But at the same time, we also need to do something, can it have an impact, a positive impact 2-3 years from today. So we call grow the business from the context of an organization. Unfortunately, these two forces are quite contradicting in many ways because productivity means do more with less, which we hope that every year we spend the same amount of money, we still can get a higher level of productivity, we get a level of outcome. Whereas grow the business, you need to spend money, you need to really go beyond than what you're doing today. Now, if you don't balance these two contradicting forces, when I say contradicting, it's not that you need to have, you spend a lot of areas, time on productivity, you're going to have a lot of problems. It's also off the cliff. You grow the business without managed productivity is also meaningless because you keep expanding your business, but you're not actually developing the profitability of your organizations. So the trick today basically is to balance these two things, productivity and grow the business. So in order to do that, we have to understand is we need to balance the growth, not just organization, individually as well. Okay, individually means to say that all of us, you have to manage your career path. Now, if you don't manage your career path, or some of you are more fortunate, you have somebody to guide you, but you need to manage your career path. Very important thing means that you don't do what is it for today, you also have to plan for the future. So these are very important things. So to balance the growth of company, basically there are two very important results. Operational result against developmental result. Operational results are very simple. You do something, I need to get it by the end of the day, by the end of the week, by the end of the month, by the end of the year. Those are called operational results. Developmental results are things that you do. Unfortunately, you might not get a result tomorrow, next week, or next month, or the next 6 months. Those are called developmental results. So it's very important that whatever we do, managing ourselves or managing organizations, we've got to make sure that we must able to gauge ourselves. Are we just doing operational result or focusing on and not on developmental result? Balancing. So my people ask me, what is operational result? I explain to you, it could be sales revenue, it could be something you need to achieve, project you need to complete. Those are operational results. What are developmental results? Human capital development. I send people for training. Those are developmental results. Because you know why? When we send people for training, unfortunately, this is just one example, you cannot see the impact immediately. I mean, if you're lucky, you can get it, but if not, it takes 3 months, 6 months, 1 year later. For example, if we do improvement to a process, nothing, I mean, everything is not spoiled, so we don't fix it, but we're not asking to fix it, but we want to find a better way of doing things. Those are developmental results. Now, research has indicated one thing is this, if you want to manage these two areas, it links to something quite important we call managing the performance of human capital. In other words, basically, we look at 3 very important elements. Your performance must directly or indirectly impact the organization's directions and objectives. At the same time, we must have a means to reward people, recognize their performance, all right? Those in sales are quite straightforward. You sales revenue, sales result, straight will tell you that, you know, I can reward you. But those in support services, HR, like QA/QCs, okay, so we must have some way to measure things, not just financial areas, but the non-financial areas. Now, let me just share with you this. I spent easily, how many years? More than 15, 20 years in these areas of KPI. Let me tell you one thing is this. Today, we must learn how to make it simple. It's not about making it more complex. Of course, eventually, it leads to what we call human capital developmental needs. So from the individual standpoint, it is also very powerful because it provides you a better understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. All right. So that will just share with you some of the important things pertaining to performance. Next thing I want to go back to here quickly, just a very quick introductions. Now, basically, I also want to share with you this. There are 4 steps to develop objective statements with supporting measure sets. I will call this the key focus areas method. All right. I'm going to skip step 1, but I'm going to go step 2, step 3, and step 4. Today, I'll just concentrate on what we call the key focus areas. All right. The subject of performance is very wide. Okay. So today, we just only look at key focus areas. Okay. Very quickly, without much ado, let's go into what are key focus areas. Now, first of all, very importantly is this. If a person, for example, tell you, I got many things to do, that is a problem. Because individually, it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO, whether you are a supervisor, you're an executive, we should only focus between 2 to 5 key focus areas. I think my video gone already, is it? Yeah, I think so. Okay. I'll get out and come back again. Sorry, yeah. Technical issues. Why can't I get out already? My apology. Some technical issue. My Wi-Fi just didn't work. All right. Anyway, let's continue. My apology for that. All right. Let's continue where we left off. Okay. Okay, my apology for that, everyone. Okay, first of all, let's look at the key focus areas. Now, very important thing is that we don't want everybody to do too many things. We only want people to focus on what matters pertaining to their performance, how we're going to drive it. We call this the key focus areas. Now, generally speaking, you only can select between 2 to 5. You cannot have many key focus areas. Now, I'm going to share with you what are key focus areas afterward. However, interestingly, each key focus areas can relate to more than one key result areas. Now, very interesting, I want to share with you. We have key focus areas, we have key result areas. What actually precisely are key result areas? Universally, over the years, there are 5 fundamental key result areas, irrespective who you are, and we probably need to look at it. What are they? Basically, they are quite straightforward. One of the key result areas is financial requirement, whether it's revenue or cost or productivity in terms of RM. So this is one of the key result areas. The second key result areas for company, for individual, is we look at customer expectations. So it's very important. We had to measure the customer expectation. The third one is managing effectiveness. We call doing the right thing. So it's very important things. We also have a focus areas how to improve our effectiveness. The fourth thing is doing the right thing, which in actual fact, how to be efficient. And the last thing, the fifth element is called developing people. So basically, you have to be very clear is that irrespective what are your key focus areas, there are key result areas that we need to look at it. Now, let's build the really, what are key focus, what are key result areas? I want to share with you now. Very interestingly is this. Now, these are focus areas. Focus areas are very much related to operational, okay? So take, for example, in generally, these are quite universal. They are basically, there could be more than 12, but now there are basically 12 key, what we call key focus areas. 1, operation efficiency. 2, quality standard. 3, HSE and security. Most people combine this together. You can separate them if you wanted to. Competent team and motivation. So these are called key focus areas. So then we have to ask ourselves, if I have to select between 2 to 5, first thing first, I ask ourselves, what are the 2 to 5 key focus areas that matters to me, to my performance? However, each key focus area sometimes are related to more than one key result area. For example, operation efficiency affects financial result, especially those who are managing costs and things like this. Okay, those also look at revenue, things like this. At the same time, it also look at customer expectations. Sometimes, today is very interesting is this. Depending on the industry you're in, certain industry, you require to be very efficient, and the efficiency affect how the customer expect from you, all right? And of course, it's also related to efficiency, about how efficiently you carry out your operation. But there are certain key focus areas like quality and standard, very much related to effectiveness, all right? Then your HSE and security is about effectiveness. Of course, we will have efficiency to monitor how we manage our security, but at the end of the day, we have to realize one thing is these are managing what we call effectiveness. But if you look at this diagram here, you can see that actually there are many things that link to effectiveness. Developing human capital, information technology, can be efficiency, can be effectiveness, stakeholders, product innovations, corporate governance, marketing, financial, as well as doing the effective thing, because marketing is to change and okay, so that's to do with effective. Sales or financial requirement, also sales to do effectiveness as well. Now, this is just a matrix. Of course, this matrix for one company another do varies a little bit, depend on what are the things you want to look at it. But what is more important is that people must understand there is a correlation between key focus areas and key result areas. All right. So that will provide you, how to say, they will provide you, let me just hold on first. I apologize first. Okay. That will provide you a clear understanding of what are key focus areas and key result areas. Now, somebody asked me the question, what about OKR? Now, OKR actually is another approach, but they look at objective, they look at key result areas. But for me, is both have to be separated, okay? What is important is both. But right or wrong, no, there's no right or wrong. It's just a method. Which method you choose to do it. It's just a way of looking at things. So I'm not in a position to tell you whether it's correct or incorrect. As long as for me, what works for you is what matters the most. So basically that will give you an idea between what are key focus areas and key result areas. Now, I want to stop for a while and pause for you. Anyone got any question here pertaining to key result areas and key focus areas? If you have a question, you can just type into the chat and I'll try my best to answer you so that if there's any, okay? Is it very clear to all of you? If you think yes, just key a yes in the chat. Does it make sense? Just let me know. But let me just share with you, we have used this method to great effectiveness. Just to share with you this, we have done for two Japanese company, one with over 4,000 people, and the other one is with 200 over people. We have also development company. We've done quite a lot of work here. So basically, this is to give you a very simple approach. We used to have a 6-step to develop key performance metrics, but now we find that that method becomes a bit too difficult. But it's good for people who are in the consulting line and who do a lot of planning processes, then that will actually come in. Okay, so maximum of KFA, so how many usually? Okay, I think that's a good question here. Now, generally, if you look at the earlier thing I say, between 2 to 5. After I'm going to show you some example. Don't worry, Lee, I'm going to show some example here. But generally between 2 to 5, okay? Worst case I ever done for a client is I allow, worst case scenario is 6. Anything more than that, I say, please, something is very wrong already. All right, I will share with you this. So Lee is between 2 to 5, okay? Now let me just show you very quickly on key focus areas and key result areas. All right, I'm going to take one example to show you this. Now let's say we have a sample here. I'm going to take a sample here. Okay. Now, very interestingly, I provide you a sample to look at manager projects, engineer projects, senior manager marketing, advertising, sales, whatever, different areas. So let's look at manager projects. Now, this is a smart tool, comes with our training. Today we use what we call dynamic learning science approach. All right, so you don't have to worry about it. Let's say I want to look at manager projects. The first thing what I do is, this is our smart tools. So I will ask the question is manager projects. I'll click the KFA. I'll ask the questions in this case. Okay, so let's say I can clear them off. Let's say clear. So I ask, what is the key focus areas of a manager projects? So then I'll click here. I say, well, I think the managers need to be very efficient in managing his projects. I click here. So I get these are his key focus areas. Then do you have to manage quality? Yes, I think project must be quality. I click here and I select and then put quality. All right. So it could be, for example, he need to manage stakeholder. For example, very important, his supplier, his vendor, subcontractors are very important to him. I can click here and I then click here. So managing his people are important or not. So for example, it could be he has to make sure he has a competent team and motivated. I click here and that will then become his key focus areas already. So of course, then I transfer and ultimately that will tell me what are his key focus areas. So first thing first, it is very important. Don't ask people what are your KRA, what are your objective, what are your KPI. That is not the right question to ask. The right question is, what are your 2 to 5 areas you need to focus, okay? Key focus areas pertaining to your work. Okay, so this is one example.
There's a question, how maximum of KFA.
I answered already just now.
So that's this one. Okay.
Yeah, I answer, I say it's between 2 to 5 key focus areas, okay, generally speaking. So in this case, you are 1, 2, 3, 4, all right? So next one is very interesting. Let's say we look at engineer project. So I click here, all right? Of course, I produce already. So engineer project, you need to manage operations. So I transfer here. That will show me what are the key focus areas. So interesting, you notice that I do not even talk about objective. I do not talk about measures. I ask every individually what are his key focus areas. So take for example, now I could have marketing senior managers. So first thing I ask, what are your key focus areas? So we can gone through it. We said he has to look at sales. You got to look at marketing. You got to look at operation efficiency. Got to make sure the project, whatever he does, everything must be of quality. So basically, as far as the senior manager of marketing, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, there are 5 key focus areas. So always remember, the correct thing to do in managing performance It's not to ask what are your objectives. It's not to ask what are the key result areas. To ask what are your key focus areas. People can relate to it. At least I will explain to my staff, you need to be efficient, you need to have the quality, you must have sales, okay, in this case. So let's look at another example. Now, this guy is, let's say, for example, advertising and promotions. So he's a manager, advertising and promotion. So I ask what is key focus areas. So straight away, I click on it and you tell me these are his key focus areas. So today, very important, we had to make things as simple as possible. So I can go on to the next person, all right? Then let's say it's manager sales. I look at what are his key focus areas. In this case, sales and business. I translate and it will tell me what are his key focus areas. All right, so this is very important thing. So I want you to go back. Don't ask complicated questions. Ask simple questions. What do you think are the key focus areas? All right. So finance, what do you think finance key focus areas? Maybe there's only a few things. Of course, some people ask what has to do with sales. We'll come to that later. It's just, okay, we happen to be sales, so we just put in business and sales. But basically, there are things, I will show you the whole output afterwards. So for example, that means the finance not only look at operations, look at the quality, look at the corporate governance, look at the sales and business, look into competent team. All right, so that's basically is an example. So I'm going to show more example. So let's say ICT executive. So this is a senior executive for ICT, information technology. What do you think are his key focus areas? So I click on it. So I found out that he has to make sure he manage efficiency, make sure his work must be quality. He has to embark on information technology. He must provide services to his internal customers. And if a competent team, it's not just about him alone, about other people. So he will have his key focus areas. All right. So get you some example of key focus areas. So today you have to, in this case, factory manager. What do you factory manager key focus areas? So HSC and security, sales and business, operations. Okay. So in this case, that are his key focus areas. All right. So this is the way to do KPI. If you want to develop KPI, ask the right question. Focus on the things that matters to that particular individuals. All right. So I think that's important. That will show you what you think are his key focus areas. All right. So that will give you a very good ideas about how to look at performance. I don't know how some of you do your development performance. Look, gone are the day we ask people, what are your KPI? I'm here to develop a KPI. There's no such thing. You must make sure you have to focus on the right thing. All right. Now, any questions you want to ask, okay? Anyone got any questions? Please feel free. Okay, does it make sense to you? Okay, very important. Any questions, or you think there's a certain thing you need me to do further clarification? Please feel free to ask me more questions on these matters. All right. Okay. If you think you're okay, I will continue. Just key in a yes. We will then continue and show you. Okay. I like pause for maybe a couple of minutes so that you have an idea what to do with things that you want to look at. All right. Those who want to ask a question, please feel free to ask a question. All right. Pavi, if you can unmute if there's any questions. I just want to, if some people have any question to ask, then maybe they just feel like just give 2 minutes, unmute everybody so that they can ask, or you can just unmute yourself and can ask the question. All right. Okay, Rachel asked a question, is there a duration for KPI set? Okay, I think that's a pretty good question here. First thing first is this. A lot of time, people say they keep changing KPI. I think there's no such thing. Generally speaking, a KPI, like for example, I just to answer a question is that last year we did a whole implementation for a manufacturing company, a Japanese company. So we actually launched the whole thing. But what we did was we don't actually go and run performance management first. We spent at least 2.5 months to 3 months, just making sure that every job positions, we figure out what are the key focus areas, we get very involved in it. And once you understand already, okay, the duration is, of course, if my KPI I develop at the beginning is pretty good, it might even last you for the next 3 to 5 years. There could be probability, maybe 1 or 2 measures might change. But I can rest assure you, if you get it right, 70 to 80% of your measure or performance metrics will not change. But what will change will be the standard. What will change will be the target. I give you one example. Assuming I'm a sales manager sales, so maybe one of my measures is sales revenue. Now, this sales revenue will going to last me for the next 5 years. But what's going to change is this year, my boss gave me a target of 135 million. When I go to 2022, maybe my sales target is 170 million. When I go to 2023, maybe my sales target is 200 million. Now, that's a fact of life. So what will change will be the details of what you need to put into the measures. I give you one example. So one of my clients also very interesting. They're looking at quality in terms of because they do a lot of printing. So for them, it's very important is the printing in the sense that they have a certain standard. Every month, you cannot have more than 3% of the printing rejects. All right. However, what they did was very simple. They only measured the 12 months, which month 1 to 12 months, whether each month they meet the printing reject do not exceed 3%. All right. So they measure, they make the whole performance measure so simple and so clear to everybody. Now, so the following year, the target will still be the same, but the GM say very simple, 3%, right? This year I want to reduce to 2.5%. So Rachel, I want you to understand this. Basically, the whole idea is if you get it right, okay, you don't have to redo it over and over again. That's why I always tell people, get it right first time, because if you don't get, especially in developing KPI, you don't get it right first time, you got to launch it, you want to do it, it's going to waste a lot of time. Okay, the client that I work with, okay, who are very successful in the KPI implementation is because they put the emphasis on getting it right. Like for example, now we look at key focus areas. Okay, this is the most important thing. Get it right. So maybe I'll go to each job positions in a company. If they have 20, 30, I look at what are the focus areas for each of the job positions. What do I want this individual to focus on? This is very, very important. Now, once you do this, you solve a lot of problems because I'll show you the next part. The next part is the easiest. The most important is get it right on the key focus areas. All right. So Rachel, I hope that I give you an understanding. There's no such thing called a duration for it. All right. But more important thing is get it right the first time. Okay. All right. Let's continue with our sharing session. I don't have much time to go through it. So I'm going to close all this while. So, okay, I'm going to just close this off. All right. So now basically is the key focus areas and the key result areas. All right. Why this is so important? Because the next step I want to show you, you'll be amazed because this is actually the controlling element in developing KPI. Because the next part is this. Only when your key focus areas, then you develop objective statement based on each selected key focus areas. Now, generally, I always tell people, if you've got 2 key focus areas, please, unless it's an exceptional situation, only have 2 objective statements, each driving a key focus areas. So in other words, basically, and today's, it's no more rocket science. I always tell performance management is actually very simplified already. When I say very simplified, in the sense that, take for example here, operation efficiency, quality standard, HSE security, competency motivation, customer and service. Now, what I will normally do is I will encourage the client to develop, what do you think are the objectives that relate to operation efficiency? Okay, but the kind of work we do is actually these are no rocket science and these are not cast in stone and these are things which are quite standard. What relate to quality? What kind of objective statement relate to quality? And normally when we do a work for a client, for example, even if you attend my next week KPI session, you notice that you don't even have to develop this already. Certain things we need to be creative, but when it comes to developing performance and KPIs and objective statement, please do not be creative. This is no no area for you to try to be creative. So which means to say, once you know what are your key focus areas, you can now each select what are the objective statements. All right. So today, what I want to show you is very interesting, just to go and show you. Now let's take the second one. Okay, this is just to relate to you. Now, okay, now let's say, for example, now let's take of David Lim, manager projects. Now, once I know his key focus areas already, I look at my library. Okay, so we provide library here. So now the library says there are 4 objective statements in my library here. So I said David is, in this case, he's a sales manager. So I just click operation efficiency. I click back here and I paste. So in other words, that's how I develop David objective statement. So in other words, first key focus areas, then develop the objective statement. But objective statement today also quite powerful because you don't even have to write, and we don't encourage people to write objectives. That's the quality and standard. So like click here. I look at quality. So I want to have quality and compliance. I click here, and I paste. So in other words, I have this objective statement developed. All right. So stakeholders and relationship. So I want to click here. I look at stakeholders. So I scroll down to see what are the stakeholders. So stakeholder, because I want to work with my strategic partners, working partnership, develop strong working partnership. For example, sometimes you all know very well in your business, you cannot be successful if your suppliers or your vendor don't support you very well. So I want to develop strong business working relationship with my partners. I can just click this, click here, and then I paste. Okay, so let's say for motivating team, okay, I'll do the same thing. So what do I want to do? I click here. Sorry, I click here. So I full screen. So motivating team, what do I want? So in this case, to achieve high-level employee engagement and motivation, to develop a highly motivated, competent team. Now, to develop a knowledgeable, competent team, to develop personal effectiveness. So obviously, you can choose any one of them, but because I'm managing a team, so in this case, I feel to develop highly motivated and competent teams are very important. Okay, so I click on this, okay, and I click back, and I then paste. All right. So basically, this is to give you an example of the actually what we call sequential approach. Sequential means to say it's not you develop from A to Z. You have to know where are the things you need to develop first. So that will provide you. And let me just show you more examples. So of course, eventually, what we'll do basically is, all right. So I have in this case. Okay, I don't know what's going to be the same. So now I have developed the objective statement for David. Then I also developed objective statement for engineer projects. So this is what they will have to do. Okay, then I have also developed an objective for marketing. So marketing is compliant, sustainable business. Okay, so basically is now very interestingly, I can change the objective statement. If I don't want to sustainability, I can replace it with something that's more relevant. Okay, so but basically, if you look at all this from 24 to 29, it's all interrelated to sales and business. So in this case, I can do that. So in this case, I have market presence. Now, interestingly, I purposely put this for learning purposes. It's like this. Now, remember, I say very clearly is if you have one key focus areas, you normally have one objective statement. Now, this is an exceptional case because maybe not only you want the market presence, the boss also want to look at how do you actually justify your marketing expenses. I want to make sure that you have a good return because here he wants to manage the effectiveness of the money that you spend. So that will give you an example here. So in this case, all right. So here I could develop for, in this case, advertising and promotion. So you can see here to increase market presence, competent team. All right. So just look at more example here, sales. So you can see sales in this case, so have to have two objective here, sustainable business and sales performance. So in this case, there are 4 key focus areas, but there are 5 objective statements. Now, of course, some people ask me, Anthony, can I have more than one object, more than 2 object or 3 objective for a focus area? My answer is no, don't do that. All right. Because at the end of the day, you are diluting the fundamental of what you want to drive into our performance. Okay. There are certain cardinal laws on how we want to manage performance. So that will give you an example. I purposely bring all these things so that at least I provide you a better understanding of wider range of looking at how to develop performance. So in this case, for example, this finance, for operation efficiency, quality, regulatory and compliance. So obviously in finance, they're going to make sure they comply to rules and regulations. And some people ask, hey, sustainable business, I'll show you the example. When you see the complete example, you understand why. In this particular example, senior manager finance also have a focus area, how to support the organization in terms of sales and business. All right, so that gives you more example here. All right, so then you have executive senior. So in this case, it could be quality and standard. Now, of course, I can also change this objective statement in the sense of individually, and I decided I want to change it to works quality of work, for example. So I just click here, and I can change it to quality of work. This doesn't matter. So today, managing performance must be as simple as possible. Okay, I want to interchange, I want to add in. Of course, the tools, the one that our smart tool allow you to also add any new measures you want to have. You can click here, you can change from here as well if you want to change from here. So the smart tools allow you to do a lot of things. Today, when we do our training on KPIs, today we actually make learning as simple as possible. Everything is using smart tools. So today is all this difficult work. We cannot waste time to go in administratively managing it. We can change, we can do anything that you want here. All right, so that gives you some example. And of course, here you have securities and stuff like that. All right, so now you understand or not why key focus areas is the most, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not saying that it's the only way. I've worked with a lot of processes, a lot of methodology. I find that over the years, this is by far the easiest, and it's so easy to understand. Okay, then all you have to do is look at all the key focus areas, organize the type of objective you want to do. You know, you have preset all these things in advance. Okay, some people say, Anthony, can I want to change the sentences because I load these sentences? Look, it's not a necessity to do all these things anymore. So that is basically how you manage, develop objective statements. So you understand why I say very important. In performance, we have to ask the right questions. All right? Learn how to ask the right question. Now, I'm going to throw to the floor a couple of minutes. If you have a question, you can key into the chat, or you can ask me at any point in time now. I give you a couple of minutes, okay? We don't have much time. Please, if there's any question, you can ask me now. Now, can you understand how to develop objective statements using key focus areas methodology? Yes or no? And not only that, you can also relate your key focus areas to key result areas in a very simplistic. Now, if anyone want that particular chart or key focus and key result areas, you just have to send us, make a request. We'll send it a simple chart so that you can go back. My intention was to help you. Yeah. So there's a question: is objective set of KPI is fixed or found in somewhere, or do we need to create it by ourselves? Okay. Lee, as I mentioned to you, performance is no more rocket science. Okay. Of course, if a company want to, so far I've done work for all my clients. I've done work on my client. The customization is only about 5%. So what we do is we provide a complete library. We complete the client with a complete library. And this library, they can manage it themselves in the sense that they can change. Our client will sometimes change a certain wording inside here because they have a library. So my answer to you is that, of course, if you attend our workshop, you attend, next week we have a KPI workshops, okay, developing KPI new norms. We will provide you the libraries, and you can actually you can just look at the library and pick it up. I just want to share with you, we have done work for the client for how many years already, and look, I've never changed anything. And you can't change a lot of things here, all right? Whether it's operation efficiency, project, develop project efficiently, work efficiency, these are quite standard things. So not a problem. I mean, you can actually even use a library and just use it as a guiding principle is also not a problem. You can change a little bit here and there, but I always say one thing is objective statement, please don't try to creatively create an objective statement. It doesn't make sense to me, all right? You can actually look at the library and you can use it and it works already. I have never encountered my client would tell me they got problems. 95% of the objective statement created in their system are based on the library that's provided for our customers. All right, so please, Lee, you don't have to, of course, you can use my samples. take a camera, just take the shot there, and then you can go back and can organize this already. All right, I hope I answered your question. All right, there's a question why there's no time for the next week program. Of course, we have future program. We also do run what we call in-house program for the client. In fact, just recently we did for lump sum, another one for environment tax. We have done quite a lot of in-house program. If I said you want to actually do it in-house, and you can always do inquiry, and we can share with you on this program. Okay, basically what we are saying here is this. Let me just close this one first. I'm not going to save it. Is that we have a public workshop. All right, this is a public workshops that we are running on the, sorry, my apology here. We have a public workshop that run called Developing KPI in the New Norms. Okay, basically the whole idea of this workshop is that it's between 21st to 22nd April, and you will have all the tools that I've shown you what to do very fast, how you can click. It's a smart tool, it's user friendly. All right. So I will tell you a special offer at the end of the session. You wait until the end of the session. I will tell you I have a special offer for those people who came for this workshop. So this is a 2 half-day sessions. Okay, so it's also claimed by HRDF. So you can actually register for this program. All right, I'll tell you a special offer I'm going to give to you. So basically, in this program, you're going to learn. For example, today I just cover topics on, for example, I just covered a topic on developing key performance indicators. So this is one part. So one of the things that we will cover will be this. It will be experiential. It's a learning session. It's an interactive learning session. All right. Okay. All right. So with this, I'll just proceed with the session because Lee asked me this question. So I will just explain to you what it's all about here. Now, so once you develop your key focus areas, I keep mentioning to you, is actually, for me, it helped me so significantly in my consulting work. Actually, I can even do consolidation very, very quickly. All right. So once you develop your key focus areas, you now know your objective statement. Next part is very important. How do we develop our performance metrics? That is where the performance metrics part. All right. How do we develop our performance metrics? Now, very important part is this. Now, to understand, just tell you some basic rules here. All right, today we don't have time to allow all of you because it's just 1.5 hour sessions. So in this session here, it's very important. There are some basic rules which you have to follow rigidly, okay, and diligently. Now, one of the rules is this. If a measure has been aligned to an objective statement, this measure cannot be used for another objective statement within a set. This is called exclusivity of the use of a measure. So the meaning, what I'm trying to say is, if I assign revenue to this objective like to improve sustainable business, I cannot use the same revenue, same target, everything the same, and assign to another objective statement. Means a measure when assigned in the set is exclusive. It cannot say a measure solve 2 objective statements. There's no such thing. We have to train people to be very precise and very clear about it. The second important ground rule, an objective statement can be driven by. Now, at the end of the day, it's like this. What we want to solve the problem was your focus area. Then we establish what do you think are the objective. The next part is, how am I going to meet my objective? That is the reason why we select a measure, or you can call a performance metrics. So once we select we have an objective, but sometimes a single measure might not able to solve that particular objective. All right, it can be more than 1, 2, or 3. Generally, in terms of selection, usually it's 1 or 2. But normally for template development, we can even have the 3 and 4 because sometimes situations do change. There are changes in the situation. We manage it very, very differently. All right, so that will give you an example of. Okay, so usually, of course, in this case, you refer to key focus areas, and then after that, we will then. So what is interesting here is this. Now, also want to share with you this. We have done significant amount of research already. Take for example, operation efficiency. Roughly, we know what kind of measures that will relate to operation efficiency. What kind of measures relate to quality and standard? Let me just share with you this. In our research, we find that for operation efficiency and quality, they have the most number of measures related to each of these focus areas. Okay, this is very important. Yeah.
So this is how we do the model. So one,
Okay.
This is the first step. After we pass this, meaning that then we can start understand the dynamic of the process. Then we can just
we off the mute everything so that
have a very custom.
Melvin, probably off mute everyone because all right. Now this is very important here. I just want to share with you this. All right. So basically, is this I come across because if you don't organize this in a proper manner, we have a couple of problems here. Sometimes I ask people, what are your objectives to improve, to achieve work efficiency? What are your measures? Rework. Now wrong, because rework has nothing to do with efficiency. So a lot of people cannot understand between what are efficiency and what are qualities. Okay, so I just give you an example here. Operation efficiency or work efficiency. That means to say, I want to make sure I get the job done on time, okay, in the most efficient manner. So it'll be time delivery, for example, work. All right. So in other words, one of my work is keep submitting document to my boss. So I can be submitting document always on time. Fantastic, 100%. But the problem sometimes when you submit, there's a lot of error. So that means to say that it's no point you submit on time with a lot of error. And none of my staff could do otherwise. The submission very, very slow, but the qualities are very good. So it is very important to make sure the measures are aligned to the right focus areas. So this is just one very interesting example on how you align the right objective to the right measures. So of course, eventually we ask the client to continue to build up this library of what measure relate to what objective. Now, I just want to share with you, today performance management is no more rocket science, seriously. Okay, it doesn't take a genius to understand how to do it, provided information are organized in a correct manner and how you want to develop the objective statement. All right, so that will give you an example on how to develop objective statements and so forth and link to KPIs. Now let's look at the next part now. Let's look at set number 2. All right. So now let me see. Let's go on here. So I have a factory managers. So now what I need to do is, what do you think are his measures or what could be the potential measures? So of course, what I do is I go to the library, create a library, then I look at the library. Now let's say, for example, timely deliver, assuming we just choose one, I do not know, I just choose one and timely deliver. And if I refer to my reference list, I know that this could be one potential measure. I click on it, I click and I paste. All right, so project could be timely. Now, it could also be this, timely completion, project timely completion. Okay, so it could be one measures. I will click on this, click here. Okay, click here, and I will add it in. All right. All right, so basically, this will show timely project timely completion. S stands for what we call success rate, to WS to meet targets. Okay, we come to that later. That's a different lesson altogether. So in other words, I will just add in all this thing here. So I can have, for example, to achieve high level of quality compliance. Okay, maybe I can also select the measure from here if I wanted to. But of course, I think this is a much easier way to select. So let's say, for example, quality and compliance. So maybe what I want to do basically is I might be looking for, let's say, take for example, what could be the measures that I need to do for quality in terms of maybe, for example, could be cost containment activity. Okay, I click on it. So I want to see how I want to manage cost containment in. So to build working relation with business partner, okay, in this case, I might want to say timely payment, for example. So I click timely payment to success rate. So I can have timely payment and I can click here, timely payment, okay. To develop high motivated team, maybe I might want to look at, for example, personal development plan. So let's look at personal development plan. So you have, where is personal development plan? Okay, so personal development success rate, or let's say in this case, I manage my human capital. So I just look at percentage. I click here and click and I paste. So basically, that is how you develop the sequential approach, how you develop, eventually come up with meaningful KPI. So the whole idea basically is we want the person to be balanced and making sure that all these are important areas. If these are important areas, you need to have an objective statement for each of the important areas. And only then we try to measure whether the person is doing correct thing or not. So of course, I don't have time to go and do this. I will show you the final output. So eventually we will actually come up something like this. All right. So eventually we will then develop an objective statement here, timely completion of projects, timely submission report. So in this quality where improvement KRA successful, resolve issue resolved, timely payment, trade start, personal development plan, and so forth. So once you have done that already, you were able to see, for example, now very easily the engineer. So engineer will be first is trained staff, timely payment, so resolve issues for this for engineers. Then you have senior marketing is also in this case, he or she got a project. She got projects to do. Okay, she has to make recommendation. Okay, for marketing, initiative are very important. So they to do this. Yeah, establish market, make sure that when you say increase market presence, of course, I want to measure how many new market have you established successfully. The massive market, I want to know that your marketing expenses, again, the revenue generated, whether there's impact or not. You spend money, so this money that you spend must give me a higher return in terms of gain revenue, because if I'm going to spend money on marketing and it doesn't increase my revenue in percentage, it isn't going to help me in this way. So you can see a lot of things here. Now this is for advertising. So advertising will be campaign advertising, whether the advertising campaign are successful or not. Okay, media story, media event they organize in this case. So you can see it's very interesting. Of course, obviously this particular manager have marketing projects. So in other words, sometimes they also have to not only run the campaign, they've got to make sure the campaign are organized in the most timely and effective manner. Okay, so I think that's a very important part here. So you can see like here could be improvement carry out issues. So this is for sales. Okay, so sales, you have sales revenue. You also have sales volume, and sales volume might not be number, it can be metric ton. Like recently I did for manufacturing, they measure sales volume metric ton. And what also amazing, this year they changed to entirely new measures to improve the effectiveness. They measure sales volume with a new measure called success rate to X volume per month. So you can see today, actually it's very exciting. Once you know how to set KPI, once you understand the whole process, it's so dynamic. You can actually organize it in a very, very powerful manner here. Okay, let's look at, this is finance. So finance will have debtors aging, okay, by the days, okay, the debtors aging. And even this measure itself, there are maybe 3-4 different ways of measuring it. Normally, I always tell my client, be very clear what you want to measure. You want to measure by per month output. You want to measure by total output. The measure can be very, very different. In this case, cash flow. Cash flow here is measured by achieving how many positive result per month, percentage by per month. So of course, later part, I'll show you how this measure can be done and so forth, but not these sessions here. So they say that will give you an idea about how different objective measure can be done here. Okay, so this is ICT, and you can see ICT is a project. In this case, it's very interesting. He or she has a major project, so it's measured by per day, and you can see projects can be measured by, let me see, there's a project here. Project here can be measured by percentage, okay? And here can be measured by per day. So it's very important is you have to be a clear understanding of what you want to do. Okay, here my measure by day saved, okay, while here measure by percentage of project that you completed, number of project you complete as to the deadline here. All right, and here will be factory manager, production output, okay, X session per, X percentage per session. And let me tell you, this particular measure to my client, this is outdated already. They use the entirely new measures, which is even more simplified than these measures, because this sometimes where your volumes are huge. It's crazy to measure quantity, so you want to measure the quality of how things has to be done here. So this is also very important. Like here, waste control, can you see is success rate to WS, which is less than X% per month. So in other words, they only want to manage each month whether you can achieve an X percentage of reducing of H by certain percentage or not, and things like this. So basically that will give you an ideas about, let me see, on how basically you can set up your key focus areas and so forth. All right, so that's give you an ideas how to set up the performance and all these things. All right, any questions so far? If you have questions, please, you can always key into the chat. And now, I do not know whether any one of you has actually gone through the exercise of development KPI or not. But let me tell you one thing. This is the most simplified way in which you can do it. I cannot think of a better way to do it, because any other way will be too complicated and too messy, as there's no way of controlling. But fundamentally, I want to share with you, this is the most important thing. It's simple, but it's very effective. And you ask simple questions. Okay, for example, quality and standard. What is so important? What you want to measure in the quality? Okay, if you want to measure efficiency, what you want to measure is sales. Please tell me revenue. Do you need to manage your people or not? Okay, or do you need to manage yourself or not? And what do you want to do to improve yourself? Because competent team doesn't mean you have to have a staff. You can be yourself, which you have to be a competent team members as well. So these are very important elements of things like this. So here could be like ICT. ICT is personal development plan and things like this. Okay. So please, I'm going to stop here for a while, and you're going to ask me a question. Then after that, I will share with you how to prioritize those measures. All right. Any questions? You can key in, or you can probably unmute so that they can ask me questions directly if they need to. Any question? Anything that you think you're still not clear about it? Okay, please feel free to ask a question. I give you about a couple of minutes to things like this. Now, I do not know any of you have done KPI before. What do you think compared to what you have learned originally, compared to the method that I'm going to introduce to you? Anyway, we have done this successfully with big companies. I climbed with 4,000 people, okay, and we can implement very successfully, things like this. Okay, so KPI need to let employee go through to avoid any bias from superior. Okay, normally it's like this. Once you're very clear of your key focus areas already, if let's say I got 4 staff, and let's say 4 staff are same position. Like yesterday, I was doing for a client, and they have actually I was doing with purchasing department and no, customer support department. Also, I did for purchasing. My customer department is very interesting. All the 4 staff are there, so everybody knows. But interestingly, one of the 2 staff do things a bit differently, in the sense that the nature of the job in customer support or customer service it varies, because the company has, for example, I give you an example. One of the staff is managing board, one of the product. Another one is managing carton boxes. Now, interestingly, it's because the nature of the products are different. The nature of product different. But bear in mind, the focus areas are the same. The objectives are the same. The only different, the measures are not the same. Because the carton boxes, they want to measure very differently in terms of whether they achieve each month by the result. The carton boxes, they measure very different. They measure by, for example, what is the total tonnage that they want to do. So guys, my answer to you, Lee, is that I would say that every employee have to go through to avoid biasness or not. Okay, to answer the question is, I will bring to you something that happened in 2013. Now, in 2013, there was this company in Shah Alam. Okay, it's a public listed company. Now, they decided to embark on the development program, KPI, for the whole company. And just to do the training of KPI, learning and KPI, they spent close to $300,000 on training alone, okay, for that one whole year on KPI development training. The problem is this, by the end of December, 95% of people forgotten what is a KPI. That's amazing. So in other words, you don't have to do that. But what is important is that you must have the ability to look at overall and make decisions on it. And of course, I'm going to share with you the next part is how do you prioritize? Prioritization is another important part, which I want to include in today's session with you. Okay, so the answer is, like for example, just share with you this, when we do our development exercise for the 4,000 people for the company, in 2015, we started with, they only have about 2,006, but of course they continue to grow. So what we did was that we only developed the output, we building the template we call library. So let's say if there are 30 job positions, we actually develop 30 templates for the 30 job positions. It doesn't matter they're 100 people or 200 people, we develop the template. We make sure that, for example, let's say senior executive ICT, there will be a template. There will be another template, for example, and this is all done. This is all done by the development team. There will be a template for finance. There will be many, many other templates that we develop for them. So that is the whole idea. So after when we launch it already, you have to understand, not everybody will understand everything. If you want to do a KPI and expect all your employees to know everything, look, it's impossible. But more important thing is whether they know or they do not know, guide them properly. Okay, so they feel very excited about it. Okay, eventually they will know about it. All right, so last year we did for this Japanese company. They actually just launched it. Not everybody go through my development exercise. So they've gone through it, they experimented it, and this year they make some improvements, some changes, and the staff began to understand where are the things they should be focusing on. But fundamentally, this is very important. Okay, every time we talk about this, we always focus on what are your focus areas. If you tell me you're not focusing on this area, let me know. If you focus on is what do you think are your objective? If you decided what objective, what do you think I should measure you for? All right, that is what I will want to tell one thing. So in order not to create biasness, I mean, I cannot say it's 100% foolproof, but more important, biasness will come from how you distribute your reward. Okay, I hope I answer your question. Okay, anyone got any other questions? If not, I will continue. We don't have much time. So that is
Anthony,
yeah,
Anthony, Sam here. Quick
yeah,
one. Yeah, this is as I see it, as you may cover it here or on the next session, but I see here as a very micro level what we are doing today. What about at the top management level? Is there something that we see differently? You know, I mean, you don't expect the CEO to see, you know, like whether it's on a daily basis in terms of performance or monthly basis. So do you have a separate thing that is being done for management level?
Okay, Sam, you asked a very good question here. Now, because today I just want to get you to understand the methodology of KFA and KRA, all right? Usually if we go in, I always tell companies, don't ask your staff to do KPI where you don't even know what are the organization KPI or what are organization focus areas, what are the business unit focus areas. So if you want to do a complete process, okay, it is ridiculous to ask the staff to develop their performance metrics, their objective and the key focus, without the business unit. And one of my requirements to many companies is this: if you don't even know what the organization want to drive and you expect your staff to know what to drive, is asking for an impossible thing. So Sam, the answer is, actual fact, you have to have what we call holistic approach. If organization, now the problem with many organizations, if you publish a company, just to share with you, the only KPI they have are usually financial, sales revenue, sales volume. Other than that, they have very little KPI they have. The problem here, because it is imbalance. Imbalance means to say that the company only focuses on one thing. They don't look at other things like quality. They don't look at how you're going to manage whether the company, the whole company are managed in terms of whether people are motivated, whether people are competent or not. Okay, now how to measure, that's another part of it, but of course you define a measure. So my answer to you, Sam, is this. Very importantly is, I want to tell you one thing, is that this is, again, you end up with the same thing. So if I were to ask an organization, do you have operation efficiency or not? For example, like recently I do for a client is basing project. Do you have sales or not? Do you have competent team or not? Do you manage quality? How do you know your quality are good or not? All right. So the answer is it has to be whole. But today I just want to share you a method called KFA and KRA. But your questions are relevant. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue. Okay. I'm not going to save it. All right. Let's continue. So basically, this is the whole approach on how you develop KFA, and it will show you a systematic way in which how you can actually do it here. All right, so that's give you an idea. Now, finally, I just want to share something also very important, because my objective is to give you an overview of what are the things that you need to do. Setting priority is also very important. Now, let me just share with you how to set priority here. Now, setting priority is this. I'll just quickly run through this. All right. Now, once you have this one, you have to decide, okay, interestingly, if you read, it's not written inside here. Normally, we only want people to have between 3 to 8 KPI, 3 to 8 measures. You are not allowed to have more than 8 measures. We said between 2 to 5 key focus areas. 2 to 5 key focus will generate 2 to 5 objectives in general. But the 2 to 5 key focus areas can result to have 3 to 8 measures, all right? And how to prioritize the measures. So that will show you how do you prioritize the measures. So you just have to toggle and you will prioritize a measure. So you will prioritize a measure in this manner. So you will then prioritize which measures you want to do. Now, let me just show you an example how to prioritize the measures, okay? Let's go in here. I want to share with you, this is, okay, let's take one example here. Okay. Now, of course, this is a result really. Now, let's take, for example, manager sales, Anita Louis. So managers, Anita Louis, so I asked her, what do you think are the most important things? Of course, at the end of the day, is sales volume, okay? So I'll click here, sales volume. Of course, this one, I think this is probably not the best example to, okay, never mind. I think I'm going to choose another example, which is better, so that we can look at it in a greater perspective. Let's choose this one. Okay. Okay, let's look at Anita Louis. Okay, it's the same measure. Now, I don't want to worry too much about it. And here, of course, we don't have targets result yet, but more important. If Anita Louis, I said sales is very important, I will click 60. Now, interestingly, I want you to learn a new concept. Okay, sorry, I escaped here. Full screen. This is called relative distribution. Now, what is relative distribution? Actually, it's 1 to 6. But to make it easy to understand, we put a factor of 10. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Now, what does it mean? It means to say the most important measure to the least important measure, the difference cannot be more than 6 times. Okay, it cannot be more than 6 times. So that means to say, if I choose here revenue sales as 60 distribution point, of course, there's only one measure, it will be 100%. But if I choose timely submission report for salespeople are important, it's important, but it's not the most important measure. I click here 10. Now, when I click 10, what happened is it, you notice is this is no more 100%, it's 85.73%. Now, what is interesting is 14.3 multiplied by 6 will give me 85.73%. This is called relative distribution. It will always give you 100%. Now, in the past, we are also offset by percentage, okay? Now, please don't waste your time percentage. If I think, for example, staff development is very important, I can put in this case 30. Now, what does it mean 30? 30 means that this is 3 times more important than timely submission report, but half less important than sales revenue. So I can put it in this manner. So let's say improvement KRA successful is very important. Then I decide to put 40, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, when I put 40, what happened is that this percentage error will be 100%, but the distribution will be more than 140. Now, this is the most meaningful way of prioritizing a measure. Now, you don't have to select all the measure. You only select the measure that you want to use. So in this case, I select only 4 measures, 3 to 8 measures. So yeah, select only 4 measures. So in this case, you can see that I add up all the percentage, it will give me 100%. So the system is smart enough to do relative distribution. I'm going to teach you how to do it, and you're going to experience it in our next week session. I'm going to talk about it here. So basically, I can add a new measures. It will do a relative. I can take out a measures. It doesn't affect because it will redistribute the percentage automatically. All right. So if I put sales volume, put it in, I put it in here, it will then redistribute the whole thing. Now, what is interesting is many people are obsessed with the percentage. Percentage is meaningless because percentage is for you to calculate in terms of your actual result against what you target you set. But more important is called the relative distribution. Relatively, these 2 measures are more important. It's 6 times more important than this. It's 2 times more important. It's about 2/3 more important than this. Basically, what it is. This is 4 times more important than this, and this is 3/3 more important than this, and this is 3 times more important than timely submission report. So this is called relative. Now, let me also share with you this. You're going to learn not only this. We're going to have a workshop which is coming up. You're also going to learn a couple of things here. All right, I mentioned to you, I got something which is interesting. You're going to learn a couple of things here. So this is, okay, let me just move this, sorry, let me just move this away first to this side. So basically, it's a KPI training program. Now, this is a 2 half day. Okay, this is really the fastest way. And not only that, after attending workshop, you can actually almost implement, and you got a chance to actually do the actual work in the workshop. This is experiential training. That means to say, while I'm doing the work, do the training, you got a chance to actually do on the spot what I showed you just now, to use a target setting tool. Now, for all of you who attended these sessions, okay, we're going to now do one thing for you. You don't have to pay the normal price. You must register within the 24 hours. I will still throw in the 950 early bird sessions. Now, you are going to learn, actually got a chance to actually do setting up the key focus areas. So I'm going to share with you how to do the key focus areas, how to set up the whole thing in the morning sessions, and then introducing the smart tool. Then you will give you the smart tool. We will also give you the what we call the whole learning material. We call multi-dimensional, which is in PDF file. And you can actually learn and relearn. Even after the workshop, you can actually use the same material to actually go and learn it. That's the thing. But far most important thing is the second day, we're going to teach you how to do target setting. All right, target setting will show you how to set target setting and basically how to actually do all the exercise. All right. Now, as I mentioned to you guys, this is a special offer for those who registered between today and tomorrow, and you will get this special. You just go to SSC to those who are SSC, you know, the rest, you go to the respective people who recommend you the program, and you can actually immediately run the sessions. If you want to know more about this program, please let me know now. All right, so there's a lot of things you need to do. So which means to say what happened, I will share with you this. You're going to have all these materials in the PDF files. Now, this is one of the most powerful what we call learning material you can get. The PDF files will allow you to do this. If I want to go and learn presets, I click on it. Okay, it will allow me to go in. If I want to learn what is performance measure, I click on it. It will allow you to go into what is well performance measures. Now, if I want to go to the main page, you can go to the main page. Now, I feel that learning must be continued. We call learning science. If I want to go into here, I can click here. If I go into the step of performance management and I click the return, it can go to the return here. All right. So in other words, once you attended this program, the beautiful part is you can share with all your team members. You can actually teach them and you can learn what you do not know as you go along. Learning has to be a continuous thing. So this two-day workshop, 2 half-day workshop will provide you all this necessary thing to actually do this. And you can actually do on the smart tools and so forth. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any questions here? Okay, this is the smart tool. So we're going to introduce the smart tool. You're going to use the smart tool like just want to show you. Then you can customize all your different people. You can put the whole thing in place. And what is interesting, I want to share with you this. Once you have done it already, you can send a copy to me, okay, or to my team. We will help you to improve the quality. This is one extra thing that we can help you out. Fundamentally, for us, it's very important. Quality is everything. It's not just whether you have KPI or not, because I find there are too many KPI in the market that are meaningless, all right? And just share with you one example of KPI, which is meaningless. I'll go into the main page, is this. We will also cover target setting. So let me just share with you overview of target setting, for example, just quick one there, all right? So very often, just want to share, people do this kind of target setting. 80, 85, 90, 95. Now, all these are meaningless target because you have no idea how to get 85%, 90%, 95%. For me, anything cannot be measured, please don't measure because you'll be wasting everyone's time. So very, very important thing is. So we're going to cover topics like target setting, things like this. But bear in mind, this 1-2 half-day sessions will provide you the most comprehensive information that you can get pertaining to managing performance. Okay. Yeah, any question pertaining to the program, you can always ask me now. So I hope that you have learned something. Okay. Okay, you can register under Top Foresight. You can register SST to you. It doesn't matter, but you can go to, if you know, let's say you come from SST to you, you just register with SST to you. Okay, there's no impact, whatever it is. All right. So bear in mind, this is just to share with you this. This is the workshop. So for this today, we are throwing 950 ringgit, all right, to you. Now, if you have more than, let's say, 3 people or 4 people, we will even have a special one-to-ones. We have a special for you session for you. That's something that we are throwing. If you have about 3 people to 4 people attending the workshop, we will actually have a one-to-one session with you just to visit you, to see what other things you've done, to better understand and to help you to set out certain things. We also give you additional what we call customized library if you have more people registered for the workshop. All right. I hope that you have learned something, and I hope that I provide you a fresh perspective of looking at KPI. You know, I don't know whether you see KPI in this manner, but this is the most simplified way of looking at KPI. Okay, I hope if some of you have learned something, please tell me and key into the chat. What do you think you find most valuable? Just key me one that you find most valuable in this session here. All right. If anyone you find most valuable, just key in. Let me know. If you have more questions to ask me, please feel free to ask me more questions. All right. So please get yourself registered. All right, as this program. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Yeah. Any more questions or not? If you want the table for KFA and KRA, okay, the table of KFA and KRA, please send us a note, okay, make a request. If you request, if you want it, just send us a request, okay? Yeah. So I really hope to catch some of you in our next week session. I assure you one thing, you will going to be thoroughly enjoyed it, all right? Because we have organized this session before, and many people really enjoy. Okay, Timothy, if you register today, you get an early bird of 950. Okay, on top of that, if you have 3 people, we will have a half-day one-to-one session with your team. We'll go and visit you and then look at your output and things like this. Okay. All right. Please, those who request the what they call KRA, KFA tables, those of you who require the what they call performance metrics by key focus areas, you just have to send us an email, okay, and we will forward to you. Whether you attend or don't attend the program, we'll still send the whole thing to you. So not to worry about it, okay, guys? All right, but I would love to see some of you come to the workshop because I'm quite confident enough that you will going to have a very interesting session. Today, unfortunately, it's not interactive sessions. It's basically an introduction to the things that that we were focusing on. All right. If not, I will call off the sessions and thank you very much. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anthony,
Yeah,
for very informative And I'm sure, I hope everyone, I hope everyone has gotten something from the session today. Feel free to join us in our next session, because this is actually not just one-time session. We actually do this quite frequent. We'll send and normally we'll keep updating you the next schedule for the next month. You can join our Telegram. We'll send you all this info in the email, so not to worry. Everyone here will definitely have the info. You can join. It's free. Just anytime there is an update, there's a sharing, you can join us later. And at the same time, I also just want to share with you about
Wani,
yeah.
can I make a note first?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Wani. My apology to you. If some of you who are looking at in-house and things like this, please feel free to call us or let us know. We can do a Zoom for you. It's not a problem. You can always contact us. We can do an in-house sessions, so that some of you might decide want to put all your team together. Okay, let us know and we will do. Okay, Wani, sorry, I'll hand over to you.
No, actually, yes. So anyway, we've put it in the Telegram link. If you're free, you can just click in and join and stay. We will keep posting any future updates in there. And later we'll share with you also the link for the ESPO, E-Shared Prosperity Organization. So this is basically a certificate, online certificate issued by Malaysia Productivity Corporation. We like to encourage. Yeah.
Wani, I think the one we do separately.
Yeah, we will do separately. I'm just telling them that this is what they're gonna receive later. This information we're gonna send out later. I think that's all for today. Okay. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you in the next session.
Hope to see you next week, actually, fact.
Mm.
Some of you. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah.